Okay. Okay. Now, how's that? Can you guys hear me now? All right. Sounds great. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started here. One thing I want to just double check. I can't remember whose dad or photo on Facebook group they posted this, so let me just check that real fast. Let's see. Let's see. Hold on. They were having trouble drawing this face here, and oh yeah, here, it's Sambra. I hope I said that right. Okay, let's see. Well, let's get started here because you guys are first in line here, and I want to get this thing rolling. So, just so that you all know, this will be an ongoing thing on Wednesday nights. I want to continue focusing on the face, portrait drawing from 7 until 8 o'clock on Wednesdays. So just tune in and yeah, check it out. So hopefully each time we do this, you'll pick up a new technique that you can add. I'm drawing, of course, on my iPad using this program called Procreate and my Apple Pencil. That's what I use. I used to use Photoshop, but I switched over to this so it becomes a little bit more mobile. Anyways, but that doesn't matter. You could draw with anything: paper, a pen, of course, a pencil. So one of my favorites, of course, is a Crayola pencil. I don't know why, the lead is great. So anyways, oh no, it's midnight. Russell, you're in England, aren't you? 3 hours, oh man. All right, well, I'll try not to keep you up so late. We'll do our best, my dear friend. Okay, so let's get right into it then. Okay, England, excellent. Okay, so let's talk about the face. There is a simple idea that I think and then Danielle is 4 p.m., so she's got to be on the West Coast someplace. Nice. So when you're drawing the face, you want to really get this idea down in your head. So I'm just making sure that this is going to be picking up here. Let's just say that we're going to start off with 3 spheres. And I'm just making sure. That it is recording. Sorry. All these fun technical difficulties, right? Un momento. You know, it's so much fun to do this, and things don't go quite right because you really start feeling anxious. All right, let's see here. Oh, I think I know what's going on here. I know what's going on. Hold on. Sorry about that. There we go. All right. Let me just open this thing up here. Oh, there we go. Okay, everyone. Sorry about that. The joy. Let's bring this all the way down here. Okay, let's start fresh. Look at that. Francine made it in. So, Francine, you haven't missed anything yet, okay? All right, here we go. Back to square one. All right, so back to what I was saying. These are the three first things you really want to nail down when you are working on the head. And I'm going to start off by saying you need to figure out the 2D, the two direction. That will lead you into the 3D view. And then that will lead you into face placement. Okay, I know those are all crazy words, but just bear with me for a second. So let's just say, let's just start with this simple sphere right here. Okay? The 2D, what I mean by that is if you hold your pencil up and you have to determine whether the person is leaning to the left or to the right. So first thing is a 2D axis. So if you hold your pencil up and you tilt it a little bit to the right or to the left to determine what the 2D axis of the face is. Okay, so here's one example. Let's say this person was leaning a little bit this way. Or let's just say the face was leaning just a little bit this way. That's the 2D. All right. The next step is we want to determine the 3D. So if we take the center face here, we'll call this A, B, and C. So you take A and then you ask yourself, oh, is this leaning forward or leaning back? So if I put a point, this would be the top of the head. If the person's leaning forward, now this is the 3D, then I know they're going to be, this would be their eye line, and their eye line is lower in their head. Let's just say we take B, and now the top point of the head is going away from us. So since we are looking up at them, the 3D is going away, and we can indicate that with this idea. See, that arrow is going away. On the A here, it would be like this. It's coming forward towards us. Let's look at C. Now let's make C also coming forward to us, and that would also have a line. This would be the top of the head right there. Okay? So these are the first two steps. Determine what the 2D, what the tilt is, and then the 3D, is it coming towards us or they're going away? If they're coming toward us, we're looking at the top of the head and the chin is lower. If they are looking up, the chin that's going to be looking away. We're going to be look. So for example, I could show you right here. So here is an example of here, look at my Apple Pencil now. This is a 2D axis. Now the 2D axis, I'm tilting a little bit to the left. And then if I go with the axis, I'm going to the right over here. That's the 2D. Now the 3D would be, am I coming forward in space? Or am I going away in space? Okay? Those are the, yes, it does suit me, Russell. Thank you. Those are the different angles. So the next thing we have to do is determine where our face. So look at A here. So if I say this guy is looking this way, then his face is going to be over here. Okay? Now if I come over here to B and I say his face is looking this way, then his face is looking that direction. And if I get down to C, his face might be over here. So this is where the face would go because he's looking off to the left. So those are the three things you really want to get down in your head. Ask yourself first what the 2D axis is, what the 3D axis is, and where do I put the face on all this. Okay? All right. So let's look at our picture of the gentleman that we have in front of us here. Okay, here's your first quiz of the night. Okay, let's draw a. I will ask you, what is the 2D axis? What's the 2D axis? Is he leaning to the right? Is he leaning to the left? Or is he straight up and down? Anyone, you want to guess? Watching the comments here. Okay, he is looking straight up and down, almost 90 degrees. The second would be is the 3D axis. Is he leaning forward or is his head going away? Tilting slightly left. Absolutely right. That's right. Tilting slightly left. Okay. Excellent. Now, is his head falling away from us or coming forward? Falling away or coming forward? Anyone? He is falling back. And I will show you a trick how, if you're not sure, and a very easy way you can determine that. Yep. Well, the camera is forward, but his head is falling away from us. Okay? And I'll show you. I'll show you how that works. Look, we're having a mutiny right now. I'll show you. And then the last thing is the face placement is going to be dead center. So let's go ahead and let me show you how this on this picture here. So let's just say we have this gentleman. We're going to start off with a sphere, and what I want to do is look at the first thing I want to determine is, of course, is this 2D axis. So it's going to be slightly left. And then he is looking away, and we can tell that by if you look at the top of his ear to his temple. And I'm going to see if this will show up here. Okay, so if you look at the top of the ear to the temple, so this would be something like this. All right, so for example, let's just, if our face is like this, we know that the person's looking up because the ears are slightly below the temple. If we're like this, we know that this person is looking down because the ears are above the temple or above the eye line. And if the person's looking straight on, the ears are going to be level with the eye line. So those are the clues that we're looking for to determine whether the person's coming forward, falling back, or we're looking straight on. Okay. All right, so let's continue our drawing here. So now that I've determined the face placement, I've determined that he's slightly looking up, or I'm looking up at him. Let's go ahead and start getting in some of the shapes here. So first thing I'm going to do is come down on the sides of his head. And of course, this is going to cause me to kind of see the bottom of his chin. Now his chin is covered slightly with a beard, but I know it's there. When we are drawing a when we're drawing a head, you can use a couple different things. You could use the bucket method, if that suits you right, or you could use a cube. And of course, all these we are looking up at the person, or you can use a combination of a sphere and a cube. Again, looking up. All right. So let's continue this. So next thing you know, I've got my shape here. I already know that he's looking up. Now I want to get in about where his temples are going to be. And his temples are going to be right about here. And that's going to create the side of his head. So this is the side of his head, so you can kind of see what's going on here. That side here, when we're looking at a straight face on, this is where you would slice off. So you might start off with a sphere, and then this. Lower than the nose. Are they lower than the nose? Yes, you could also say that as well. That would be, Russell. That would also be a guide. I always look in the relationship to generally where the ears are, to the nose, to the eye line. And that usually tells me whether the person's looking up or looking down, or it can even tell me what my point of view is. So we have a sphere, and when we're drawing a portrait straight on, we're going to slice off the edges of that sphere, okay? So here we are here, of those edges sliced off. Then the next thing I want to do is what I call, this is the gabella of the eye. And I always look for that next. The gabella is at the top of the nose, and it sets up my drawing so that I could start the construction of it, all right? And usually with the nose, I'm always putting in this idea almost of like a man's tie. It's a really good, simple shape for me to visualize how all the parts are. Now the way I've drawn this here is as if I was looking straight at a nose, but in our gentleman's case, we're looking up at it. So I'm actually going to want to change that bottom of that tie there so that it is more upward. So I'm upward looking at it. All right, next thing I want to do is establish where the eyes are going to go. And I'm coming right in about here. And then this plane that's like the cheeks or from that eye line right there are going to come all the way down here into the nose. On a side view up here, this is what this is looking at. We have right at the brow line. That's what's happening right there. And then the nose will sit right on that plane coming down. All right, next thing I want to do is grab his mouth area. This is going to be called the barrel of the mouth. The barrel of the mouth runs right behind the nose and runs behind the chin. And then my chin is going to fall somewhere right around in here. Okay. All right, let's continue our construction. Remember, construction gives way to likeness. Always remember that. Get your construction down and it's so much easier. So let's get his jaw in. So his jaw is going to come down and it's going to swing around here. And then from his mouth perspective, it's going to come up here from the jaw. And usually the corners of the mouth are going to fall somewhere right along the outside part of that ball of the mouth. All right, let's go ahead and I'm going to come in here now and like sketch out he has his neck coming over here. And we're going something like that. What's this side going? All right, this side's coming over here like this. All right, let's go ahead and work on his forehead now. And his forehead, I'm just going to come in here like this. And of course his ears are going to be right at the nose, the top. Now I'm looking at his right hand ear, and if I draw a vertical line across, it's going to hit right about there. So this is where I'm using like vertical lines to help me to determine measurement where his head is. Okay, let's go ahead and get these eyes in, these eye sockets. So usually the corners of the mouth will line up with his pupils of his eyes. But in his case, it looks like his eyes are a little bit more closer together. So I'm going to make the judgment right here. Bring these in just a little bit. When I'm drawing eyes, I want to, for me, it works if I draw the eyeball and then build the lid around that. Okay, now let's we got that in place. Here's a little measurement tip. Usually the corners of the nose, the outside part of the nose will line up with the inside part of the eye. The corners of the mouth usually, and I actually can bring these in just a little bit, will line up right with the center part of the pupil of the eye. All right, let's go for this now. So when we're drawing eyes, like I said, I like to think of the eyelids as wrapping around my form. And let's get that bottom one in there. And now I'm going to add a little bit of tone to the eyeballs. And as I look closely at his eyes, there's not a lot of white of his eyes because he's squinting so much. So I'm just going to tone this in a little bit here. And then I'm going to really pop. I'm making some slight adjustments here. That pupil. And we'll do the same thing for the other side. We'll just add some tone here. All right, let's get this nose in here. So his nose, if you look at the very tip of his nose, it's almost like a ball form. So I'm just going to kind of put this ball form in for the time being. And then if you think of the wings of his nose as like an upside down cup almost, this is what it's going to look. We're going to do something like this. And his nostrils really flare out. And now I'm looking at some value here, and I can see that the dark areas of his nose are something like this. At this gabella here, it's actually kind of round here. So I'm just going to put some lines in here to help me find the center part of his nose. Now let's work on his mustache here. So when we're drawing hair, we want to draw with volume. So we want to think of, when I draw the hair, you want to think of it as like I'm taking a piece of clay or a piece of Play-Doh, and I'm adhering it. If I think of it in form and volume, then I don't think it as individual hairs. So in this case, our mustache is going to be something like this. I'm visualizing this thing as one big mass. Okay. And the same thing goes for his beard. His beard's coming around. I can look at the general shape. I'm adding some lines here to kind of give me some indication of the direction. But I'm thinking this as mass, not as individual hairs. Okay. And let's do the same for his mustache as well. So thinking of this as mass. And when I'm drawing these hairs, I'm thinking of them as surface lines. This is what I mean about surface lines. Let's just say I have a tree. Okay, 2 little trees here. And what happened here? All right, 2 trees here. If I have the surface lines on one, I can make this tree go like this. Make these branches coming towards us. If I change those surface lines in a different direction, I can simply create this illusion that the tree is going away from us. You see the difference? So those are surface lines. So as we're drawing this gentleman's mustache, we want to make sure that the lines that we're adding here are indeed going in the direction that we want to create mass. Okay, excellent. All right, so let's move on to his hat, because his hat is a really important part of his face here. So now that I'm looking at my head here, which I've drawn, and I'm just going to think of proportion-wise. And as I look at this gentleman's picture, I'm judging the distance from almost where the part of his nose comes into light, or right between his 2 eyes and the top of the brim, And I'm trying to judge that. How far is that to the top of the rim? Well, it's almost equal to that same point down to his mouth. So I'm seeing it as almost like it starts here. All right, so this is the distance. So I'm going to try and bring that up. So it's going to come all the way up to here is my guess. And I'm also looking at the negative space in this area. And this is going to come around like this. There's the top of his brow, top of his brim. And then I'm going to look at the negative space in the hat in this area right here. Okay. And his hat's going to come up here. It's going to come down. And it's going to come short of the brim. I'm squinting my eyes now to get these things, get some alignments here. Okay. Looks pretty good to me. All right. Rarely, how you doing? Glad you made it. So let's go ahead now, and I've got all my basic lines in here now. Last thing I want to do is put his glasses in. So let's take a look at his glasses. I'm going to put some guidelines here for his glasses, drawing lightly. That way I can even these things up. And I'm looking at where his eyeballs are falling into his glasses. So like his right eyeball is toward the center part of his glasses. So we're going to definitely want to put it there. And this other one's going to be over here. And then we're going to come across. And we're going to come down. And then I know this is going to come down to his ear. All right. We've got his glasses in now. Excellent. Let's go ahead and move over to some tone. So there's my line drawing. I'm not going to erase anything. I'm only going to add a new layer to put a little bit of tone behind this. And if you're using a pencil, you can just draw lightly, okay? So when we're going to add tone to something, one thing we want to keep in mind is where is the light and where is the dark? That's quite obvious. But we want to try and separate those things right off the bat. So if I squint my eyes at this, immediately I could see that the tone, oops, a little too big there. The tone is coming in this area here. And all I want to do is tone down the whole side that is going to be in shadow. Okay. Then let's get a middle tone. So I'm just going to come all the way down like this. And again, you would want to, you would want to just draw lightly, okay? There it is. Squint my eyes. I'm going to put a tone for his hat here. Great. All right, let's talk about the nose real quick here. Now, to get a nose to look round, we definitely want to tone in the bottom part of the nose. This bottom part's going to pick up some light, the light reflecting. So in the bottom down here, I just want to make sure that the darker area, so we pick up a little bit of reflection light underneath the tone here, underneath the nose here. All right, let's keep going here. Now, he does have these wrinkles. Coming in at the side of his face here. So let's drop that in a little bit. And let's get in the other side here. Now I'm going to look to the dark side and realize, okay, where's some more darker tones? Can I darken in more areas here? Yes, I sure can. And then this side of his face is even more darker. And this side is as well. And then this has some value here. So all I'm doing now is just going back and forth, trying to determine where the different values are. And looking at his hat now, there's a nice shadow coming in over here. Great. And I'm going to add a tone to his mustache. All right, now I'm going to go back in and add some highlights to this. So I'm just happening to use my eraser. If you had a white, it could be white. You could use a kneaded eraser if you wanted to. But as I look the rim of his glasses on the left side here, oops. Okay. And then of course we have it on the inside here of his rims of over here. Okay. And then it lightens up across the top here. And I have a little bit of tone on the and the brim, his brim over here has a little bit of tone in it. And what about the side of his? There's a little bit of tone here. Nostrils coming around a little bit. Just going in and keep working it. Oops. It's all right. So you could see that once you start getting some of the different aspects in, then you can just keep going back and forth and keep working your darks and lights. But really where this begins is just trying to get that overall structure. If you have any questions, just drop them into the little chat there. And then let's get some, I'm going to add some highlights to his beard here. Still thinking when I'm drawing the beard, I'm thinking of volume. What's the volume? What's the volume? How? Thinking of it as the mass. Oop. There are definite advantages to working on an iPad. It took me a while to get used to it, but I really like it. It even has some value down here. Look at this. I think it's the shadow of this mustache there. And I could probably go darker up in here. This has a some of this camouflage up here, and this comes in as tones. All right, well, I think we got this one down. Too dark there. All right, I think we got that. Let me, anything, let's see, I'm going to, I'll be posting this once we're done, but let's take a look at, let's do a quick little thing on, let me just look at some notes here. Let's just talk about the eye for a minute. How about that? So when I'm drawing the eye, like I said earlier, I usually will, I like to draw the pupil, draw the whole eyeball. because it's easier for me to wrap things around. So of course my pupil is going to be dark. It's a hole in the eye. This is where, of course, all of the light comes in. So this is like really pretty black. And then the iris is the part that has the color, of course. All right. Now, when we're drawing the eye, this would be like the tear duct. These are the corners. You want to think of the eyelids as wrapping around the eye. It's going up and around. Same thing over here. Okay. Bottom part, the bottom lid. Okay. And so if we think of clay or this eyelid part coming underneath, we really get a sense of thickness here. It's like a because we've just wrapped it around this eyeball here, and there will be also a little bit of thickness on the top of the eyelid. But here's where most people make a mistake: is this top of eyelid is going to cast a little bit of a shadow on the eyelid, and the highlight is always going to be in the shadowed area. I could demonstrate that for you. So here's a side view of our eye. The actual lens, the actual iris here is concave. Okay, it's concave. So light's going to travel in here, and when the light is pointing down on our eye, which is most of the time, this top part is going to be the part that's going to be in shadow. Just like if you had a saucer and you held that, here's a side view of a saucer, and you held this up to the light is coming down here. The top part of the saucer is going to be in shadow. This part is going to be lit up. So that's what's happening here. When the light is coming in on your eye, the bottom part's a little bit in shadow, and the iris here is getting all the light. But here's a trick thing. On top of all this, I believe is called the cornea, and it's clear, and it has a round surface. So that is where we get the highlight from. The highlight is actually on top of the cornea. So that is why you're going to have the highlight in the shadow area. It's just something to think about next time you're drawing eyes there. All right? The other part too is this: when you look at people's eyes, look for the top part, this little edge on the lower eyelid. You will find that to be brighter because, of course, let's do our side view here. Here's our eyeball. As that skin of that lower eyelid is wrapping around the eyeball, it's going to catch light there, and then this bottom part is going to be in shadow. Just like this. This top part is going to get hit, and this bottom part is going to be in shadow right here. Now, typically, especially with the ladies, they will put mascara on or something, so this will always come up pretty dark there. All right, well, I think we've killed it here. I think we've hit everything. That should give you guys some ideas. I'm really having issues with ears. All right, Danielle, let's go over. You want to go over ears real quick? We can do that. So let me show you this. Okay. Hope you're still on. So ears, let's take a look at this. This is a side view. Yes, okay, excellent. So on the ears, if you would, the trick with it drawing the ear, this is a side view, you want to look for the Y of the ear, okay? So, oh, this is going to be great. Now, I'm going to show you, I'm going to come in close to the camera here so you can actually see my ear. Okay, you see this is really weird. This is the Y. Oh, it's all backwards here. This is the Y of the ear. Okay, and it comes around. All right, so let me show you that now in our drawing. So first thing we want to do on our ears is this is going to be the top edge. Okay? And then when we get our Y, all right, it's going to be like this. And then it's going to come down. We got this little part that's going to come around, and this blends into the lobe there. Okay, so definitely want to look for the Y. In fact, I want to let me bring something up here that I can reference for myself. Okay. So first thing, let me go through these steps again for you to remember. If you see it from the side view, it's going to be really helpful again, all right? All right, so first thing we want to do is draw, it's like a simple C, okay? Next thing we want to come in here then and think about is almost like the shape of a question mark, all right? Almost like a question mark. And usually right up here, this starts to overlap just a little bit there. Then this is where we will get into our Y. And our Y usually comes around like this. And then we have this, and then we have this. And then what happens, then if we start adding surface lines, it starts to come together. So this is coming at us here. This starts to fall away. Okay. This sometimes will blend right in like this. This adds a little bit of shadow there. So I would recommend when you are look at pictures, just as you are looking at other people, you will start to notice these parts of the ears. If this person had like a stud on, this is where it would go. Danielle, I'll tell you what I'll do is in the Facebook group, just mention, and I have a sheet on drawing ears. I will post for you to see that covers exactly what I just what we just did. Then you can come back and look for it. Okay. The only thing also happens on the ear is if it's on the side view. You know, you're kind of looking at something like this. Okay, here's another angle. It almost comes out like this. Ears are very different for each person. Did that help? Excellent. Yes, post this drawing here and we'll take a look at it. Okay, well, I think that's enough for tonight. I hope that's helpful, and I hope you pick something up, and we will see you guys later. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Join our Facebook group. You know what? Let me put a link for that in, and it's very active. In our feedback here. And then other people can, all right, Russell, get some sleep, buddy. Okay? All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone, and great job.